welcome to our third podcast. Today we will present the audio version of the written post. The written post we will talk about today is net income versus free cash flow. And the conclusion that we will arrive to is that we need both because both can be manipulated. So let's go. In the written version of this podcast, you will see an overview of two companies, two public companies. One of them is Vidrala. Vidrala is a Spanish company that manufactures glass containers, and the other public company is Facebook. So you will see two graphs, both representing the same measures, and that is net income versus free cash flow. You will see that they move similarly in both companies, and they are both very different companies. That may suggest that it is indifferent to use any one of them. But let's take a closer look at each one of them before making our decision. Let's start with net income. Net income can be overstated in many ways. Being reported on an accrual basis, there is subjectivity in when revenues and expenses are recorded. So a company may be recording revenues, but the cash didn't come in yet. For example, when I sell on credit, I may record revenue upon shipping, but not receive my money for 120 days. The company may also be depreciating assets too slow, and we can make an argument for Facebook that they are doing this, and this boosts net income. Now let's go to free cash flow. Free cash flow is not a perfect measure, too. Non cash expenses are expenses too, because DNA, and by that I mean depreciation and amortization, is out of the equation in free cash flow calculation. I can delay my maintenance capex to boost it, but the equipment will eventually have to be replaced. And here we can cue in the big bath counting gymnics. Another big one is stock based compensation, which they refer to as SBC. If I pay all my employees in stock fully, and by that I mean using performance stock units, restricted stock units, or even stock options, is that not an expense? Are they not getting paid? But FCF, free cash flow, doesn't account for that. This is concerning, especially for tech companies, because they have the habit, which I can make the argument that it is a good habit, but they have the habit of paying with stock. So this effect is bigger on those tech companies. So what to do with this information? It's up to you. Um, I'm conservative in my approaches, so I use a softened net income, and that's a 3 to 5 year average. I also adjust that net income to D&A and other charges. So if you think that Facebook is depreciating their assets too slowly, the their net income will therefore be higher than it should have been because the expense is too low, and adjust for that too. As for Facebook in particular, if you are trying to decide for yourself if they are depreciating too slow or not, you can, for example, check how fast they depreciate their assets compared to Google. And most of their assets are servers. And you will see that Google depreciates their servers faster than Facebook. And so, because I'm conservative, I tend to use Google as the anchor because they depreciate faster. You can take a step further and instead of using net income, use the lowest of the two metrics. So, if the average free cash flow is lower than net income, you can use that one. That will make a more conservative approach. Uh, Most importantly, keep in mind that both can be manipulated Big differences between them should trigger a warning and further research. You can check out the written version of this audio podcast in my website. That's stockpickinginsights.com. And we'll see you next week.